President Trump's newest executive order, strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals, mostly illegal criminal migrants, I suspect, and protect innocent citizens. So this may be a little controversial because part of what Trump's doing is he's advocating for distributing like surplus military equipment to local law enforcement. And for much of my life, that's been a controversial issue. Why are we militarizing our local police? Why? Shouldn't the local beat cop just be wearing a cop uniform and swinging a baton and saying good morning to everybody? Why does he need an AR and an armored vehicle and door busting equipment and all this stuff? I'll tell you why. Because President Joe Autopen Biden imported millions of criminal, illegal migrants. This giant peak here. We've all seen the photos, dozens, scores at a time of young military-age men in groups with backpacks, all similarly equipped, crossing our border into America unlawfully. Those are just the ones we caught. How many millions of military? Have you seen the ones that look like they're straight from China? How many military-age Chinese nationals do we have in the U.S.? Do you think they're here for peaceful, lawful purposes? MS-13, Tren de Aragua, they're here to make America better. You think they're not armed with ARs and heavier equipment provided to them by President Obama and Eric Holder? Remember that? They were deliberately smuggling American arms to Mexican cartels, including everything up to 50 cals and maybe more. What about all these weapons we've been shipping to Ukraine that no one has any track of? You think Ukraine's not reselling some of those on the international arms market? You think they don't end up in Mexico? In the hands of these military-age men in America? President Joe Autopen Biden has imported a quasi-military force of enemies to our nation. And our Constitution, President Trump took the oath to defend America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Unfortunately, President Autopen Biden, or whoever was pulling his strings, militarized our illegal criminal migrant problem. And to address it, we need military armed personnel to be able to fight back. That's what this is about. Thanks, President Biden. Another big win. Good God, the guy was only in office for 4 years. The amount of damage he did is just absolutely amazing.
Did you know that in all 50 states, self-defense law, not gun law, but self-defense law, uses a simple 5-element test to see if your use of defensive force was legally justified? And that same test applies no matter what state you're in or what tool you use to defend yourself. If you're missing even one of those required elements, however, you've made yourself an easy conviction for an aggressive prosecutor. My name is Attorney Andrew Branca, and I've worked more than 30 years as a self-defense attorney. Every state has seemingly endless, complex pages of laws regarding self-defense, so complex that many top criminal defense attorneys rely on my expert analysis to help win self-defense cases for their clients. If the legal code is that complex for lawyers, how can a citizen gun owner expect to know or even follow the law, especially when a life or death situation has triggered a massive adrenaline-fueled mandate to make that fight or flight decision right now? It seems daunting. Yet I created a simple but powerful framework that has allowed me to serve the legal community and countless American gun owners to simplify this legal complexity into just 5 elements of self-defense law. And you can learn my 5-element legal algorithm I use to consult on and win with the top criminal defense attorneys all over the country to protect law-abiding, gun-owning citizens from making innocent legal missteps that land them in prison. Now, with a simple read or listen, you can install my 5-point legal framework so it acts as a sort of muscle memory defense to protect you from losing your rights when you choose to defend innocent human life. Click below to get the latest edition of my book, The Law of Self-Defense Principles, for free. I ask only that you help cover the shipping and handling cost to get the book to you.
So let's take a look at this. Issued just 2 days ago now, strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, safe communities rely on the backbone and heroism of a tough and well-equipped police force, My administration is steadfastly committed to empowering state and local law enforcement to firmly police dangerous criminal behavior and protect innocent citizens. When local leaders, this would be all the blue state cities. By the way, there's no real blue states. It's blue urban centers, like tumors, metastatic tumors in the American body politic. When local leaders, Soros elected prosecutors, Soros funded mayors, governors, demonize law enforcement and impose legal and political handcuffs that make aggressively enforcing the law impossible. By the way, and prosecuting officers like Chris Shore, whose trial I'm currently covering. Join me at the top of the hour for our continued live streaming of that in just about 20 minutes. I'll be live streaming that trial all day. Make enforcing the law impossible. Crime thrives and innocent citizens and small business owners suffer. My administration will therefore establish best practices at the state and local level for cities to unleash high impact local police forces, protect and defend law enforcement officers wrongly accused and abused by state or local officials like this guy, Christopher Shore, defended himself against an imminent deadly force attack from a violently non-compliant criminal suspect with a 0.29 blood alcohol level pulled over in a traffic stop. Fought Christopher Shore for his weapon, secured possession of the officer's taser, began turning towards the officer to apply that taser to the officer and disable him. And at the last desperate moment, Christopher Shore shot and killed Patrick Leoya, that outrageously drunk, violent, non-compliant suspect attempting to disable the officer. That officer is on trial for murder right now. We're covering it all week. Join me at the top of the hour. And we're going to surge resources to officers in need. My administration will work to ensure that law enforcement officers across America focus on ending crime, not pursuing harmful, illegal, race and sex-based equity policies. What state was it where they're going to start taking race into account when they're looking at things like bail conditions? Was that Wisconsin? I forget. So if you happen to be a straight white guy, again, you're at the bottom of the ladder as far as all these racists are concerned. The result will be a law-abiding society in which tenacious law enforcement officers protecting the innocent. Violations of law are not tolerated, and American communities are safely enjoyed by all their citizens. By the way, the city of San Francisco, which used to be lovely, I used to love going there 30 years ago. I've been there quite a lot, ravaged in recent decades by unbelievable levels of crime and disorder. Recently, its crime rate has plummeted. You know why? Because they arrested 700 or 800 people and took them off the streets. That's all it was. In a city with a population of millions, they were allowing 700 or 800 continual criminals to just take over their streets and their communities. And when you took them off the streets, peace returned, order returned. How amazing. That's all we have to do, folks. It doesn't have to be a police state. Just take the known bad actors off the street and put them in prison. Because if you don't put them in prison, the only alternative is all of us and our wives and our children are living in an open air prison with those criminals. They don't disappear. They're just free. Legal defense of law enforcement officers. The Attorney General shall take all appropriate action to create a mechanism to provide legal resources and indemnification to law enforcement officers who unjustly incur expenses and liabilities for actions taken during the performance of their official duties. You know, Christopher Shore could have used that help sometime in the last 3 years. Of course, Trump wasn't president the last 3 years. This poor guy is just getting railroaded. And unfortunately, the first 2 days of the trial, there was a lot of good stuff for him. But he needs a better legal team than what he's got. And it's too late now for that. It's very sad. We'll talk more when we talk about it more when we live stream the trial. The Attorney General and appropriate heads of executive departments and agencies shall take all appropriate action to maximize the use of federal resources to provide new best practices to state and local law enforcement, expand access and quality training, increase pay and benefits. Remember defund the police? Not that long ago. This is the opposite of that. Strengthen and expand legal protections for officers. They're talking about things like qualified immunity, which my current home state of Colorado completely eliminated for law enforcement. There may be problems with qualified immunity. There certainly are problems with qualified immunity, but it's not like it was created for no reason. This is Chesterton's fence. They're pulling it down and they're completely ignorant of why it was put up in the first place. It certainly needs to be fixed. Eliminating it is probably not the right solution. Promote investment in the security and capacity of prisons. We do not have the big lie in criminal justice is that America's had an over-incarceration problem. Untrue. We have a massive under-incarceration problem, hence the crime and violence. Increase the investment in collection, distribution, and uniformity of crime data. You know, the Department of Justice and FBI under Obama had ceased collecting crime data. Many urban states, these blue metastatic tumors in the American body politic, stopped collecting crime data. You know why? Because it was politically disadvantageous for them. It turns out that crime's not being committed homogenously across all demographics of America. Who knew? Who knew? As if the entire American real estate market isn't built around the notion of escaping with your wife and children from areas with certain demographics. Within 60 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General shall do a review and a bunch of other stuff, but you get the point. All to the good. This is why didn't want to remove me. This is why I elected President Trump 1,000 times over. This and 1,000 other things he's doing.
Thanks for watching this highlight segment of our full-length Law of Self-Defense live stream. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to give us a like and subscribe for more expert analysis on politics, law, and how to be hard to convict. And to watch the full-length episode of this show, just click right here. Stay safe.